The NFL is back, and boy, am I excited.
I don't think you understand how long I've been waiting for this. February.
It may only be pre-season now, but there's so much to talk about. Everyone's on a clean slate, the players, the teams, the coaches. We've had training camp. We're getting into the games just about, with the Chicago Bears and Texans kicking us off for only 3 quarters, but it was better than nothing. So with that, I've got 8 breakout players for you that I think are going to have career years this upcoming season for one reason or another, whether that's opportunity, whether they're going to be the main man in the position they're in. But without further ado, let's get straight into the list. Now, to start off the list, of course, I had to put an Arizona Cardinal on here. Even though I am wearing a Baltimore Ravens top, no questions please, Michael Wilson. Now, this guy, obviously the Cardinals offense is going to be headlined by 4th overall pick Marvin Harrison Jr., and for good reason, alongside Trey McBride as well, the tight end who had an unbelievable second half of the season, linking up with Kyler Murray. But Michael Wilson is one that I think is going to go under the radar and is going to have an unbelievable second season in the NFL. Now, I don't think many teams can draft a player of Wilson's talent with the 95th pick, and that's exactly what the Cardinals did in the 2023 draft. And the reason he did drop this low was because of injuries throughout his whole college career, unfortunately for him. But if this guy can stay fit, and that is obviously a big if he does stay on the field, he has the talent to be a genuine number 2 receiver, which obviously, behind Marvin Harrison Jr., he's not going to be the number 1, but having a solid number 2 can be everything for a team. As a rookie, Wilson showed a lot of promise with good size, speed, and ball skills, and he can develop into a reliable receiver for this Cardinals offense, with Kyler Murray leading the charge, full season at the helm, back from injury now, that's past him. And these two have been working out along with a lot of the other offensive weapons from the Cardinals. They've been working out in the offseason, so I see very good things coming for the Cardinals offense and Michael Wilson. Now, this guy, Christian Gonzalez, I fully believe would have broken out last season had it not been for a season-ending injury, I think in the 4th game of the year. Christian Gonzalez was believed by many, including myself, to be the best cornerback in the 2023 draft, which included other first-round cornerbacks like Devin Witherspoon, who obviously had an unbelievable season, drafted with the 5th overall pick to the Seattle Seahawks. He was phenomenal, but others like Emmanuel Forbes and Deontay Banks, not so much. And I think Forbes in particular is going to be the one to mention here, as Washington fans are probably going to be ruining this one for a long time to come, as Forbes was picked just 1 pick ahead of Christian Gonzalez. Now, the rumblings going on when he was drafted a bit lower than expected, it was that GMs thought that Christian Gonzalez probably wasn't the most physical guy going around, while also not having that same bravado about him. He's a much quieter, shy person just in general, so that sort of dropped his draft stocks a bit with the physicality and that going along with it. But all you have to do is watch this guy play. He has a perfect mix of speed and size. He can play on any sort of receiver, whatever build, and play them effectively. This makes him effective in both man-to-man and zone coverages. So I think Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback in his second year, can be one of the few bright spots for this very, very poor New England Patriots team going into the 2024 season. Now, with the departure of Stephon Diggs, and more importantly, the Buffalo legend Gabe Davis, those touchdowns against Kansas City in the playoffs a couple of years ago, unbelievable stuff of legends. But in all seriousness, Dalton Kincaid, the tight end in his second year, has all the opportunity to take targets now that those 2 players have moved on. Kincaid's talent warranted him a first-round selection by the Bills, but more importantly, it's the opportunity that's arising, I think. You've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Josh Allen, and all those targets for no one there, besides a few youngsters like Kalen Coleman, who they just drafted, and Khalil Shakir. So I think he has the opportunity to become one of the few tight ends in the league that can say that they led their team in targets in the 2024 season. And if he does do this, Kincaid can probably put his name up in the top 5 tight ends come the end of the season if he is that type of player. I mean, the Bills have already manufactured touches to him in his rookie season, so I can see it getting even better for him. The one thing I do think he needs to do better, though, is become a red zone beast. He only got the 3 touchdowns last season, so if he can get that number in the double digits, then you just know that's an unbelievable season from the second-year tight end. Hallelujah. Arthur Smith gone from the Falcons. Alongside the crappy QBs, Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder. I mean, Ridder's now on the Cardinals, but as long as he doesn't play, we'll be right. But in all seriousness, Drake London is going to have some sort of season, I think, with Kirk Cousins at the helm. Now, don't get me wrong, Drake London has already balled out a few times in his career during the 2 years he's spent in the league. But I think with better coaching, and as I mentioned, Kirk Cousins coming in to play QB1, as long as the whole Michael Penix, whatever that was, as long as nothing happens there. But this guy can go to a whole nother level this season. London can use his size and strength to his advantage in the NFL. He's good on short routes and can be a deep threat. And I think with Kirk Cousins, who loves to throw the ball, he can be the number one target on this team along with Kyle Pitts and be a real difference maker this year in the NFL, taking his game to a whole nother level. Given the Lions' success last season, you might have heard the name Ifeatu Melifonwu a few times in the second half of last season, because this guy, through injury, came in replacing a few blokes and absolutely popped. Namely the play against the Vikings where he iced the game with a lovely pick. Ifeatu Melifonwu. Ifeatu Melifonwu. Now, coming into this season, the Lions have improved massively on their secondary, which quite frankly was the worst position group, I think, by far from their team from last year. Everywhere else had stars, but the defensive backs is where they really lacked. So they've added guys like Carlton Davis and Amik Robinson, while also drafting Terrion Arnold in the first round and Ennis Rakeshaw Jr. a couple rounds later. So even though competition is strong, along with Brian Branch, who I didn't mention before, I think Ifeatu Melifonwu, while he might not necessarily be a player on the field at all times, put him in certain packages and give him a chance, give him the same chance that he showed what he could do in the second half of last season. He can really make game-changing plays, which is why I think this guy, who's been in the league for a few years now, can have a breakout type season. With Josh Jacobs out the door and off to Green Bay, Zamir White has the RB1 job right in front of him, because he's got the likes of Alexander Madison, who's come from the Vikings, and Amir Abdullah, who's been there for a number of years, as the only real threats to his job, which I don't think are very high threats at all. Zamir White comes from a long list of Georgia Bulldog running backs that are making a lot of noise in the NFL currently. Names like James Cook, DeAndre Swift, and Nick Chubb, who are currently playing, they're all carving out great careers in their own right. So is Zamir White the next one on the list? The reason why I think White can have a breakout season is because he has put on 6 pounds of muscle in the off season. He's looking fit, he's looking strong, and ready to have that workhorse type load as an RB1 for the Raiders. He's a big physical bruiser type back, and he can put the pressure off Gardner Minshew or whoever is at quarterback for the Raiders throughout the season by just handing him the ball and letting him run and flatten opponents. And on top of all this, we've already had a glimpse of what Zamir White is capable of. Many people, I think, are forgetting that he went for 145 yards against the Chiefs last season. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do that every week, but it's a good insight into Zamir White's game. This one has been on my mind, I think, for years. Ever since David Ojabo entered the league, I've been keeping a keen eye on him. Unfortunately, the 2 seasons he's spent have been mainly on the side because of injury. During his pro day, the Achilles tear, which obviously reduced his stocks, and then more recently an ACL tear, which all these combined, he's only played 6 games in his 2 seasons in the league, unfortunately. Ojabo was selected in the second round of the 2022 draft, and as I mentioned, that Achilles tear on his pro day reduced his stocks, but the guy out of Michigan was first round talent, and I expect him to play a bigger role once he's actually on the field. And now that he's been developed by the Ravens for a couple of years, I expect him to make an impact on this Baltimore defense. His athleticism is a significant asset. This is a guy who has basketball background alongside athletics background, so he can really move and move well, provided he doesn't injure himself, of course. So obviously, just at the end of the day, I hope this guy stays fit and gets on the field, fingers crossed, because he's had a lot of time to learn. He's had a lot of time to learn the playbook, get his technique right, all those good things. We've been hearing great things in training camp. So now we can see him hopefully progress, get on the field and stay on the field and play a vital role in this Baltimore Ravens defense in the upcoming season and have a breakout type season. Now, my final candidate, for lack of a better term, is more of a risky one. This is a guy, Dawand Jones, who may not necessarily start, but given the opportunity and playing enough games, I think he will be an offensive lineman that we talk about come the end of the year. So Dawand Jones selected in the 4th round of the 2023 draft. This guy is a man mountain, listed at 6'8", 375 pounds. This guy shouldn't move the way he does. He was able to play about 12 games, I believe, due to injuries of Jack Conklin and Jedrick Wills, who these guys are coming back, so this is why I don't know if he'll actually play as a starter. But if he can either win the role, or maybe unfortunately some of those names do go down and he's thrust into the starting lineup again, this guy is a freak athlete and can be an unbelievable offensive tackle. Now, he didn't set the world alight in his rookie campaign, but he did show some very good signs. Signs of, a 4th round player who's not going to be great straight away, but very promising things that you can work on and work with for a future first teamer. So if opportunity does arise for Dawand Jones, I think we could be talking about a steal of the draft if he does get a full season in or close to. So that is my list of 8 players that you should check out this season, because I think they are primed and ready to have a breakout type year, to be talked about come the end of the year as players that have set the world alight in their own regard. Let me know what you think about the players that I did talk about. Maybe if you did like this video, I'll do another video, because there's probably more players that I could think of that are ready and primed to have a big season. But if you did like this video, chuck it a like, subscribe for more NFL content, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.